Unemployment is increasing, but increasing at a decreasing rate.
With the unemployment rate between the age groups of 15 to 34 sitting at 45.5%, there are now concerns that the crisis could lead the youth towards forming an uprising movement in the country.
So now unemployment remains a big issue among young people. And also, we got to also ask ourselves and say, are we teaching the kids, are we teaching the young people the right skills for the economy? Now, let's look at the economy. I think as we prepare for the 2025 intake of young people going to study further, we need to say, what is the economic outlook of the country? Where are the possible growths in our country? Where are the new economies in our country? Is the digital economy a new economy? Is the petroleum industry, is the oil industry, what industry is going to be the one that is going to boom in the next year where young people are going to be required? And then how about we actually improve our skills development programs such as...
This year we've only got one clean audit amongst the metros, that is the city of Cape Town. The city of Ekurhuleni was a clean audit last year. It's moved back into unqualified with findings, having had some trouble with procurement issues. And they are now...
that's a decline.
Now, only 34 out of the country's 257 municipalities had clean audits in the 2022-2023 financial year.
Now, that's a decline from 38 in the previous year. The Auditor General, Tsakani Maluleke, released the local government audit outcomes.
Well, it's a very good morning to you, good afternoon, good evening to you, whatever time you're watching this podcast. I want to appreciate every single one of you for liking, for sharing, for commenting. And of course, I want to appreciate you for engaging with me on our podcasts. I mean, across all platforms. I must admit, especially that interview that I did with the ANC national spokesperson. You guys spoke your mind, and of course he challenged many of you because he's an intellect, and of course he spoke at length about his presentation to the ANC Lekota that took place last weekend, that took place Ko Magalies Park, Mount Grace to be specific. I spoke to him because he had presented and I was there, I was listening, and I thought, let me speak to him and hear where he thinks the ANC is falling short in running government, and of course in the midst of all the problems that we face as a country today. And today, one of them being unemployment, and unemployment being the highest we've ever seen. And of course, among young people, it's even worse. So I've got the stats for you. I mean, this is an issue that caught my attention. Number 2 issue is the issue of the Auditor General's report. Okay. So I wanted to talk about these two because unemployment among young people is probably a ticking time bomb. We've seen last week when young people from Soweto marched to the mayor's office and of course demanding that they hand over their CVs so that they can be given opportunities, that the mayor was saying that perhaps we need to look at employing foreign nationals to be able to help us to deal with the language barriers, especially in the inner city where so many different people from all over the continent are located in Johannesburg. So it makes it difficult for JMPD, for police to arrest these people because language is a barrier. And of course, young people decided, no. If on a lady posts, if there are posts, we want to be the ones that get employed.
Hope, faith, no, utlo change. So, ke batla understand why. Utlile zwang aibu. Sharp, we throw ile mara le teng. We buile. You cannot take back what you said, because in toilet it cut deep than ayak aibu afel dololo. So, chwa ile kai.
I feel like we do need answers and we need to understand what was the thought that came to his mind when he said that online, even though I withdraw really. And I'm sure we withdraw really because of the advice, this and that. But then we are here, education is the key. Because we don't have skills, we don't have experience. If in our country, we don't have workshops, we don't have skill centers, trainer from a young age, let's say maybe from mid-high school, create the experience that we need, or the skills that we need. So we just want to understand and get answers for what did he really mean? Like, yeah.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Those are young people.
So, South Africa, like many countries globally, grapples with the challenge of youth unemployment. So Statistics SA says that 45.5% unemployment rate among young individuals aged between 15 and 34, in contrast to the national average of 32.9%. So across the board nationally, we're sitting at 32.9% in the first quarter of 2024. However, among young people, we are looking at 45.5%. So if you've got 10 young people, 10, bae miso kalain, habae mi anakalaini, 45.5% of them, at least about 6 of them, at least about 5 of them are unemployed. That's almost half, bro. Okay, because ukase cut the way one in half, so 45.5. Let's just say 5. Out of 10 young people, 5 fiabone badutu kokasi, they are unemployed. This is absurd. It's crazy. We've seen what young people have done in other countries where there's been an Arab Spring in Egypt and Indonesia and other countries where young people were just losing it. They were losing their minds. They had enough of what the government and business was doing. On one end, government is messing up, especially if you look at the Auditor General's report, which is what I'm going to get into next. If you look at what the municipalities are doing across the board, they are in shambles. There is wasteful expenditure, fruitless expenditure, there is corruption, there is nepotism, there's all sorts of problems that the Auditor General has picked up. Now, then you look at businesses in those particular communities where they are unable to find a ground or a space where they can operate. They don't have access to electricity. They don't have access to water. There's problems with billing in other municipalities. There's all sorts of issues there. And therefore, business decides to come and relocate and move to Johannesburg, to Gauteng, and that's where most of the business is located, away from all these other provinces, right? So, young people are sitting there with unemployment, high unemployment. Many of them are drug addicts. Many of them have children. Their teenage pregnancy is high among these young people. HIV is ravaging our country. Dintwana di jiwa ke magrootmane, di cherry di jiwa ke magrootmane a keneletse bana ba tla ka dinyogo tsa di French le di palone ba jaban. That's how crazy things have become, man. And then you also find that there's also these issues where government is trying to do all these projects and build infrastructure and all of that. Then there's construction mafia at play. We saw even last interview that Lo Mama Lo was a Gunjekmandi lady, man. She's very flamboyant, flashing things around. She owns a club. I can't think of her name. Anyway. She says that the construction mafia is basically business people and there's nothing wrong with what they are requesting and it's fair. Absolutely absurd that they would demand 30%, which is not even going down to the community. It just goes down to a select few, a bunch of guys who have formed an organization, called themselves a business community or business unit or business whatever, and then they demand all these 30%. And now they've even go further where, there's been reports they are being asked for protection fee. And these are just people that are struggling to make ends meet. The spaza, the taverne, the shop, or in other areas, protection fee is regarded as one of the things that you must budget for as a business. So you've seen in Kabeja, I've seen some social media posts. I won't go much into detail because that's a story for another day. So now, unemployment remains a big issue among young people. And also, we got to also ask ourselves and say, are we teaching the kids, are we teaching the young people the right skills for the economy? Now, let's look at the economy. I think as we prepare for the 2025 intake of young people going to study further, we need to say, what is the economic outlook of the country? Where are the possible growths in our country? Where are the new economies in our country? Is the digital economy a new economy? Is the petroleum industry? Is the oil industry? What industry is going to be the one that is going to boom in the next year, where young people are going to be required? And then how about we actually improve our skills development programs, such as your CETAs and maybe higher learning institutions, so that they now focus on where the new economies are going to be. And then we push our young people to say, go and study these things, go and study the things where the economy is going, so that the qualifications you can't do much with them. So I want you to listen to this video. I mean, just a quick one, just on unemployment, what the specialists are saying. And then after that, let me come back to the second issue, where I'm going to discuss the issue of the municipalities that are failing our communities. And I mean, I saw the ANC reporting back at one of the Lekotlas, and they said that just having gone through an exercise of just research and listening to why the people of South Africa chose not to vote this time around for the ANC, where it found itself with just about 40% nationally and 34% in Gauteng, and of course a drop in many other provinces as well, like KZN. Why are the people not voting? Why did the people not come out? And a lot of the issues are really about the issues of service delivery. People don't have access to water in some areas. People don't have electricity in some areas. Rubbish is not picked up. Like simple, basic services that municipalities are failing at. So the Auditor General's report, every time she releases it, it's always just people talk about it. We go crazy about it. And then she has no teeth. I mean, she can't do anything to these CFOs. She can't do anything to these city managers. There's absolutely nothing that director generals, they're getting away with all this fruitless and wasteful expenditure and corruption and nepotism that is taking place. There simply is no mechanism to deal with the kind of fraud that is being committed in these municipalities, which is a sad state of affairs. And then let me stop there, and then I'll come back. Check this video out, what it's been said about unemployment issues. Let's take a break. Let's check it out.
Unemployment is increasing, but increasing at a decreasing rate. You want those
Sorry. Can we please have some civility, please?
Them not finding employment.
It's a very dire situation, and we must see that the investment that we make into the youth of South Africa, that education is a key driver to secure employment. But over and above that, really the issue around people getting experience in the workplace becomes critically important for them to be able to secure jobs. So how vast is the problem? If we look at more than half of our youth being unemployed, it is really a significant problem. The number that we get from Stats is obviously not the extended unemployment rate, the people that are despondent. These are just people that are in the cycle of being unemployed. So if we look at 45%, it is very discouraging, because it's obviously looks to the number that we have for the rest of South Africa, which is not great at 33.5%. But certainly when we look at our youth, they need to have a future. And when they look at these numbers, they become despondent. And when people lose hope, that is when we see things like the Arab Spring that took place. Because people really don't see a future for themselves in South Africa. And the more we invest in their education, and it's very difficult for graduates that are unemployed, because as you said, there are lawyers, there are medical doctors, there are nurses, skills that are in dire needs in our country. But because of budget constraints by government and a fiscal policy that is not business, doesn't allow for business growth and foreign direct investment at the scales that we need for economic growth to absorb these jobs into the South African economy.
So, Doctor, I mean, you make mention of the investment that we should make in education. Is there a clear correlation between the high unemployment rate and just the current approach to learning at basic education level?
Well, certainly we need to look at the global benchmark assessments that we have, and we fare very poorly in maths and science. We really do not do well. Out of approximately 150 countries, we're faring in the lowest 20 countries. So we need to invest in basic education, you're quite right, because functional literacy, our students coming out with quality education at a basic education level and secondary education is critical. Because we also see that students get high marks. You know, we're so focused on getting high matric pass rates, so driven by it. But the quality behind that, we are not investing enough time to ensure that our graduates from grade 12 actually have the skills and competencies to advance in the fields that they want to study. And this is why when students get to university, we see a high dropout rate. We see students that have had 97% for maths failing their maths courses in university because they are not adequately equipped, not just with the academic knowledge, but the life skills for this next step in their life that they need to take. And certainly the correlation and the investment speaks for itself in terms of the positive employment once somebody attains a degree.
And still speaking or continuing on that thought, Doc, I mean, the Labour Market Dynamics in South Africa report for 2022 shows that those with a higher level of education are more likely to get employment opportunities as opposed to someone who's got a matric or anything lower than that. But we know that annually, I mean, the numbers of matrics leaving school far outweighs the number of people or the available placements within tertiary institutions. What alternatives does this large missing number then have in terms of upskilling themselves and finding those opportunities of employment?
Well, the first thing is the way that we spend our money. So the Department of Higher Education and Training obviously gets a budget, and the bulk of the budget for the university branch goes to NSFAS students. Now, NSFAS is a wonderful initiative. It really has done a large amount for us to transform the higher education sector, and also that there are graduates, previously disadvantaged graduates, that are now coming into the marketplace that are qualified. And the numbers speak for themselves, because if we look, it always varies between 10 and 15%, but individuals with degrees have a much better opportunity to get employment. And once they've had 2 years of work experience, that, you know, it's very, they might be unemployed in particular cycles, but largely the labor market absorbs them. For individuals with only a grade 12, you know, 34% of them are sitting as unemployed individuals. And when we look at people below grade 12, this is obviously when the numbers significantly impact. The lower the education, the lower and more menial jobs or general worker jobs these individuals then have to occupy. And it's not that we don't have qualified people in our country. It's the mismatch with the skills that we require and the experience that we require for particular jobs. And we don't have a coherent system to navigate this so that we have individuals that are workplace ready and can be absorbed by the corporate environment and into government positions.
All right, man. You heard for yourself, and of course, such a sad state of affairs, what young people have to face. And of course, my eldest is 21, my second born is 18, my third born is 13. I'm worried about their future. And I mean, I ask them constantly to say, guys, what do you want to do? Where do you want to study? Like, where do you think are the jobs going to be? Like, are you sure that you are choosing the right thing? Like, can we look at where the skills of tomorrow are going to be? Things like programming, things like creating apps, things like fixing mobile phones. I mean, you'll be surprised that every single corner shop that is in every town is a cell phone repair shop. And guess who and which nationality is in there? It's Indian people, it's people from Pakistan, it's people from Bangladesh, it's foreign nationals that own all the cell phone repair shop. And here we are sitting with high unemployment rate, with young people spending so much time on their cell phones. South Africans, in fact, spend on average of about 7 to 8 hours a day on their mobile devices. And as a result, we use them, we love them, but we can't fix them. And we don't have people trained to fix them. So which is another issue. Where are the next skills that young people should look out for? So I want you to take a listen to this particular issue, man. And of course, I think that's what grabbed my attention. And it just made me like, because I was like, you know what? How can it be? Like, why? Oh, I was talking about Mam Keys. But I'm sure you saw the video earlier on. All right, so let's check out that particular issue, that story, because it is heartbreaking that we have the leadership in our country across political parties who serve in parliament, in provincial legislatures, and in municipalities. And every year, nobody gets a slap on their butts, like a whip on their asses to say, how can municipalities fail like this, Liliting? Why? And I ask myself also of those who call themselves business people, those who call themselves tenderpreneurs, those who call themselves business associations, with such young high unemployment, what do you guys think is going to happen? Like, what do you think young people are going to do? Like, they are going to break into your houses, our houses. They're going to break into your cars. They're going to kill. Not all of them. Many of them who are frustrated, who are drug addicts, who are alcohol addicts, who are frustrated, and who see you, driving your fancy cars, and lily peasy le jari cherry da so le baqeta bana bana bo. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think? Of course, these young people are going to rise up at some point. They are going to rise up. They're going to take up arms. They're going to create more crime. Crime is going to increase. I mean, go look at what's happening in KZN. Go and look and see what's happening to the state of our young people who are drug addicts, who like my heart was broken yesterday. Like, I walked through a whole bunch of young people, seeing them. They're like, they are dirty. They are like, I mean, I'm talking Nyaupe boys. Like, you can see where they've given up. I mean, I've seen some of them who went to school, by the way, some of them. Okay, so you might say, yeah, maybe kibo tsotsi, kibo stotu, it could be that, but why are we allowing such to continue? Why are we not doing something? Why is nothing being done? What are we gonna do about this thing, man? Because it seems like it's just a problem. Take a listen to what the Auditor General has to say before I go on to this article.
34 out of the country's 257 municipalities had clean audits in the 2022-2023 financial year.
Now, that's a decline from 38 in the previous year. The Auditor General, Tsakani Maluleke, released the local government audit outcomes to the Portfolio Committee on Corporate Governance in Parliament yesterday.
The decline in municipal finance management is concerning as residents continue to be subjected to poor service delivery.
Now, the Auditor General, Tsakani Maluleka, is in our Cape Town studio this hour. She joins us now for a further discussion of this very important matter. Auditor General, good morning. Welcome to ENCA, and thank you very much for your time. Can we begin here? A part of your presentation yesterday, you appealed for the need for urgent intervention to turn this situation around. It is not the first year when you've highlighted these poor audit outcomes of many municipalities, and you said it's regressing. There is no consequence management. I mean, really, can't you as Auditor General effect some of those recommendations to hold these municipalities accountable?
Well, good morning to you, Bradan, and to you, Masego, and your viewers. Thank you for having me on your platform. Yes, the AGSA can do a few things, as we've done, to contribute to turning the situation around. You've seen us using our new powers to get people to submit financial statements. You've seen us use our new powers to get accounting officers to at least start moving out of the disclaimer audit territory. You've also seen us use our powers to get accounting officers to cancel contracts where they were losing money and to protect public resources to the tune of 924 million rand that's being protected as a consequence of the efforts of the AG.
This year, we've only got one clean audit amongst the metros, that is the city of Cape Town. The city of Ekurhuleni was a clean audit last year. It's moved back into unqualified with findings, having had some trouble with procurement issues. And they are now sitting in the unqualified space alongside city of Johannesburg, eThekwini, Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality. Nelson Mandela Bay moved out of qualified to unqualified, having attended to some financial statements issues that they were struggling with the previous financial year. The qualified audit opinions amongst metros are Mangaung, Buffalo City, and City of Tshwane. City of Tshwane moved out of adverse audit opinion in the previous financial year, and they've moved up to qualified with findings. We're finding that metros struggle with controls over compliance, especially on procurement and contract management, but they also struggle with service delivery information. 75% of metros are unable to produce reliable service delivery reports. And as I said, these are the metros or institutions that should be able to hire the type of skills to acquire the type of information systems that help them collate the data that allows them to compile credible financial statements as well as credible performance reports.
So you heard for yourself just a brief summary of the Auditor General's report. And I mean, I'm just giving you the basics, I'm not going through the whole report because it is hectic, it is long. And so this particular article here says only 4 of KwaZulu-Natal's 54 municipalities received clean audits. Only 4 of the KZN's 54 municipalities received clean audits. One of them is the city of Umhlatuze. This is the 10th consecutive clean audit, and the mayor, Xolani Zingwezi, says it's a result of the commitment to good governance, transparency, and financial discipline. Now, here's the thing, is that if you serve in a council, now let me explain. So you've got a city manager. I'll give you as an example of city of Johannesburg or metros. You've got the city manager, you've got the mayor. The city manager represents the executive. Under him is your CFOs, it's your DGs, a DG, Director General, or EDs in other municipalities. Executive Director for, let's say, community development, which includes sports and rec, and maybe you've got ED for finance, ED for economic development, and so on and so on. Now, under all these EDs, there are CFOs, and under these CFOs, there are operations managers, directors, and what. They've got all sorts of people. Now, you find that in some of these departments, there are also internal auditing that takes place. Now, then you've got the mayor, the speaker, The speaker is then in charge of, let's say, councillors, and councillors serve in portfolio committees. Councillors will be allocated to like, for instance, let's say a finance portfolio committee, a MPAC, maybe community development, and so on. So all these councillors form part of these Section 79 committees. And at these committees, this is where the departments come and report. Same thing happens similarly to provinces. Departments come to MPs, MPLs, and councillors, they report. And then, so you would expect that on a quarterly basis, issues of reporting where there is monies that have been used for things like fruitless expenditure, like buying carpets, like buying paintings, like buying things that are useless, that are not going to improve service delivery at all. You would expect that within the first quarter, the second quarter, it would have been picked up by the councillors in those particular committees. It would be picked up by internal committees, the auditing committee that is within the departments themselves. You would have expected that the CFOs themselves would have picked it up, so that by the end of the year, before it even comes to an auditor general asking for reports from the CFO of the city, that councillors would have been up in arms. Like everybody should have been up in arms about the issues of fruitless and wasteful expenditure. So that by the time the Auditor General comes to then ask what's going on, then it should have been it should have been an issue that would have been long being picked up, long being solved. And of course, every year after the Auditor General has given the report about whether the municipality has a clean audit or not, then there are recommendations from the Auditor General. Most of these municipalities don't do shit. They don't do anything. All those recommendations. It carries on to the new year. They carry on like nothing has happened. So South African municipal finance management is on a backward trajectory. Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke says the number of clean audits has declined by 4 to just 34 from 38 last year. Maluleke says 30 of them are managed to get back-to-back clean bill of health. Cape Town is the only metro. Cape Town is the only metro in the country to receive a clean audit. She says the majority of metros are unable to do their core job of providing reliable services. So I mean, how does it make sense that so much is happening within our municipalities? How is it happening that nothing gets done? How is it that there's no punitive, like how is it like ngwana ostotu as a parent, surely as a parent there must be a way for you to be able to discipline your child. You can't say you can't do anything about it. And in this case, we have a ticking time bomb of a high unemployment rate among young people, which is going to cause so many problems. Like it's going to increase. That's why crime has become what it is. If you look at the age group of those who commit crime, it's majority young people, and men in particular. If you look at those who are addicted to drugs and alcohol, it's young people, and it's men, young men. Like Bafetu, this issue just like it drives me crazy. Like I'm trying to watch what I'm saying, because obviously of my day job, I don't want to get into trouble with what I have to say. I want you to take a listen to what the Auditor General further goes on to say about this matter.
But the AG found that compliance with legislation hasn't improved, which includes material misstatements, violations of supply chain management legislation, unauthorized, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and poor revenue management.
I think it's a worrying trend which has very, very dire implications for the communities and the people who live in those municipalities. Recall that or the local government is the delivery arm of government. If there's poor performance there, it means then there'll be poor performance in the government. And when people judge the performance of government, they look at what is happening where they stay.
The report noted that 11 municipalities were in a concerning financial position, some for consecutive years. One is the struggling Msunduzi local municipality in the capital Pietermaritzburg. The mismanagement of electricity is one of its failures that has a negative impact not only on communities but also on the business sector.
Long outages and quality of supply issues means failing equipment in factories, it means sending people home, it means loss of production, it means loss of orders because you can't meet them, loss of customers. So the knock-on effect is massive. The same applies to issues around water and around sanitation.
The eThekwini Metro, with a budget of more than 67 billion rand, retained last year's outcome of an unqualified audit opinion with material findings. The report noted that its failure to meet its targets of providing water, low-cost housing and electricity led to many service delivery protests. The Metro was also the single largest contributor of irregular expenditure for non-compliance of supply chain management legislation, which amounted to 6 billion rand for the entire province. The Metro also accounted for half of the water losses in the province due to aging infrastructure, with 4 billion rand incurred. Regular sewage spills that have caused critical levels of E. coli in ocean water, posing significant harm to the public, was an example of non-compliance with legislation listed as a material irregularity. Meanwhile, the Umzinyathi district municipality in northern KwaZulu-Natal, which runs towns such as Dundee, Ngutu, Vryheid and Msinga, is the worst-run municipality in the province. Its adverse audit report for the second year running means that its financial statements are unreliable and cannot be used for oversight or decision-making. Analysts and the business sector say there is an urgent need for consequence management and accountability.
The issue that has been raised by the Auditor General over and over again is the lack of capacity in municipalities. If you have a proper CFO, a qualified CFO, maybe, and the municipal manager with the right staff in the office of the CFO, it's not possible that you will not be able to do correct financials. But the lack of capacity is important in these municipalities. And also there is poor consequence management, because some of the municipalities have never got any better audit than they got this year. So it means that there are no consequences for poor performance.
We need to right-size local government. Along the days of having bloated councils and members of staff that are not necessary, those days are gone. We need now to be employing only the critical staff needed to deliver the basic services municipalities should be delivering.
All right, man. You heard for yourself, and of course, very, very sad news indeed. And I mean, I'm very somber. Like, I'm really down reading and listening to these issues. And of course, I don't know what we can do. Perhaps you would have thought that the outcomes of the elections in 2024 would push politicians to say, guys, enough about the frills, enough about fancy cars, I mean, these cars lose value anyway. Enough. Let's cut down on all these fancy BMWs. Let's cut down on all these perks that are unnecessary when our people are suffering so much. Let's cut down. I mean, we don't need a desk that costs 100,000, 200,000. We don't need all these frills, these nice offices. We need to be on the ground. We need to fix things on the ground. We need to get young people off the streets. We need to get young people who are pregnant, who have kids, who are teenage mothers, who are young mothers, who are taking care. I mean, we need to get them off the streets. We need to take them out. I mean, you should see what young girls are getting themselves up to. They drink a lot. They sell themselves. They have become prostitutes to these wealthy men or these men with a little bit of money. And like, it's just becoming a time bomb waiting to happen. I'm just saying, I mean, I don't know what else to say, man, because my goodness, this is a disaster waiting to happen. A disaster waiting to happen. Let us fix our municipalities. 2026 is going to be here. There's going to be more changes of power. I mean, there's going to be even more problems as we get more and more of these councils having coalitions. I mean, coalitions are a big problem because you don't have one party just taking control and just sorting out issues. And I mean, if you look at some of those, and I mean, it's sad to say this, but the majority of those that have actually had clean audits are in Cape Town, are DA-run municipalities. I mean, it hurts me to say this, but it's the truth. What are we going to do in the ANC municipalities, the IFP municipalities, in municipalities that are run in a form of a coalition? Like, can we fix ourselves? I mean, this is just a plea to say, ke kopela dintwana, ke kopela dintwana, ke kopela dintwana. Tse leng gore they are unemployed, they are sitting, and they have no access to jobs. Dintwana tsena di tlo re bolaya, di tlo re lematsa, di tlo re utswetsa, di tlo re tshwara poho. I mean, this is what's happening. How can you go every single township? Why you go every single informal settlement? The perpetrators of crime are young people. If you can go spaza go tuck shop or grad in dona dieme kamont, how can go like grad di tavern hotleti din dona da dia no. I mean, yo, I once did another experiment. Kilo wana this club go. It wasn't even a club, nearly like a tavern type. Go Randfontein, not far from town in Randfontein. My goodness, I have never seen and smelled lehuafi, underarms, like smell, like, and it was noisy. I couldn't see my friend. I couldn't walk. It was noisy and it was full of young people. Young black South Africans drinking themselves high as fuck, crazy as hell. And I mean, my goodness, I don't know what we are going to do, people. Like, unless we do something drastic, we are going to see another possible Arab Spring, young people taking arms and taking to the streets. Can we do something about it? This is a podcast purely dedicated to saying, Kalekopa, those of you who are in charge, those of you who are in power, those of you that I know that are in charge. And I mean, you've sat in so many feedback reports, meetings where you've been told where the issues are. Like, why are you not doing something about it? Why are you not doing something about it? What is the young people of tomorrow going to ask of you, those of you who are in leadership today? When you are no longer in power, you are going to be the ones pointing fingers and saying, it's those ones that created all the mess. It's those ones that you'll be pointing fingers at each other. Meanwhile, it is you, those of you who are elected to lead our people. And to all the young people, I want to say to you guys, I'm asking you, I don't know how much 20 is, but if you smoke one cigarette, you're probably throwing away 3 rand per cigarette at an average. Unless it's about 150, 1 rand. I don't even know how much those are now. But it's bad for your health and it's bad for your pocket. Kwaya tura bujwala ba tura ba fwetu. Ausna nyugwa bujwala khocho otlo noa kabu pruskap. You're gonna have to do the things you're not supposed to do so that you can get drunk. Fokotang kabujwala ba fwetu. Talan le maten, li jimeng, being active. Just try and change your mindset and just try and stay positive. I know it's probably a mundane thing to say, kikopa ozame khoba positive, because let me tell you now, man, I'm 46 years old now, and I can tell you my problems have not stopped. My problems have escalated, so problems don't stop. But if you have a negative outlook on life, you're never going to make it. You're never going to make it. You're never going to survive. I mean, you're going to lose a job one day. You're going to lose a car. You're going to lose a child. You're going to lose a wife. You're going to lose a relationship. You're going to lose a child. You're going to lose something. Something is going to happen to you, whether you are young now or you're going to be older then. And either way, you just need to find a way to always bounce back when the hardships moor you. It's like a boxing match. You are going to get clapped. You're going to get moored in the face. You're going to get moored everywhere. And you're going to fall and you're going to have to get up all the time. That's how life is, unfortunately. So when you are in your late teens, you're already giving up. Giving up kabujal. Sex. I mean, look. I mean, I know I started early, and I like many others, I didn't know. I was just a guy, maybe my hormones. But if I think about how many of you guys have children at such a young age, and kids are so expensive. I mean, I'm a father of 3. I can tell you for free that, oh my God, it's so expensive. And it doesn't stop. I've already given my ages of my kids. Now, let me tell you, Nyugo edula haiduli modi khotleng ha ke na fela ya va. Now, and then there are all these things that they need, that they want. It never stops. So I want you to start thinking about being positive. Look at your body, look at your face, look at yourself, and think about having positive thoughts as much as possible. Read positive stuff. Go to the library, improve your skills. Go and volunteer ko library, go and volunteer ko holong, go and volunteer at an NGO, go and volunteer somewhere, so that also go ka sushapo ke pay for. Ushapo ke pay for. Obe busy nyana. Dlala diski, dlala sports, go and tswako kasiawe, go kasiengwe, uye kuri ko tropong, uilo bata where you can actually go and volunteer. As long as you can ask them to help cover your transport and your traveling fees, and maybe it's something to eat, lunch, then go and find it. And then you start there, and you start having this positive mindset. Whether you are studying, continue to find ways to actually work for free, and just ask them to cover your transport and travel and food. And then just stay positive as much as possible, and do more. Don't do the bare minimum. I mean, I know so many young people who do the bare minimum. They just rock up. But finally, some of the government employees, they rock up, they hang up their jackets, they leave, and then they go and do shopping, they go and do other businesses, they go do other things, and they don't care about doing the actual job that they've been employed for. So Lilona, don't do the same thing with school. Because if you carry on like that at a very young age, you become an adult who becomes like that. Hano osa leseni ko klaseng, osa mamele, osa itsedilo ko klaseng, osa itsedi homework, osa snata osa itseng. By the time you become an adult, you become the exact same similar adult. That's why so many of them are in government, and they are giving you poor services in all these municipalities. They are unskilled, they don't know what they're doing, they are just damn corrupt and greedy. And greed is another big issue. I'm not saying don't think about your own personal goals, but I'm thinking greed. You eat more than you should. How sadi setse ba bangwe dijonyana ha o tlogelle ope sengwe o tsa go gotlhe wena o latlhela mo molomong o kare o kolobe. Greed is the number one problem. And that's why all these guys are stealing as much as they are, the way that they are. And so you need to stay positive. You need to think about having a healthy body and a healthy mind and a sharp mind, and go and volunteer and go and ask for opportunities where you can, and be a good person. Like when you get an opportunity, be good. Be good at what you do. Be good at what the new skills that you are acquiring require of you. Be good at it. Deliver. Habarile fiela lebala lele. Li fiele ntate. Fiela lebala leo. Do a great job at it. Don't fuck it up. Don't mess it up. Don't waste time. Do a good job so that okay, go and do another one. Go and do other. Then the more you do, the better you then become at improving your skills and learning new things and delivering. And communicate. Learn how to communicate. We good how le mot gore entle ka ke bua yana tone ya ka yang. Is my tone bad? Do I speak like this, and does the next person think that I'm arrogant? Do I speak like this, and does the next person think that I have no manners, no respect? And what is respect and what is manners, and how can I improve my manners? Because the one who employs me is my boss. The one who employs me, maitseo are important. Lebotho. Don't have this, I've arrived, I went to school, I'm educated, I've got papers. o bo batla gore wena o tshabiwe just because you've got those qualifications. Don't do that, Nchana. Ska etsa right. Ska tuna right, Pinchaka. So make sure gore you learn how to communicate and read. Don't read just the one thing that you think you studied. Read a whole bunch of other stuff. Read about the environment. The environment is another number one issue. Maybe you stay in KZN, in Eastern Cape. I mean, you've seen how the weather patterns have messed up your towns. You know, our emissions. I mean, read up on how much we emit smoke. Hare shapadim baola, hare driver everywhere, what sort of emissions are we creating on the atmosphere? How does it change? You know, learn about those things. Read about the economy. Read about local government. Read about just about anything that actually you did not go to school for, so that you have a bigger vocabulary and understanding of how things work. So that even Lechauli employed as a little junior, maybe in an internship internship or learnership program, whoever is senior among you can hear and is willing and able. So with that said, my young people, my friends, I know you are the ones, especially Machita, you are the ones that watch my podcasts a lot. And I appreciate it, man. I really do. Between the ages of about 18 and 35, I mean, last week I was at some conference, ANC Lekotla. This one lady from the SACP says, my brother, I want you to keep it up. You have saved my 16-year-old and my 18-year-old and my 19-year-old. Now those kids want to vote. Our eldest, they voted this year. They said your content has helped them because you bring a fresh perspective, you bring a different perspective, and continue to do what you do, my brother. And I appreciated it so much. So I want to thank you for watching, for liking, for subscribing. And those of you, I mean, there's thousands of you who watch and are not subscribed. Subscribe to help my channel grow. The bigger it becomes, the better it will be for you, for me, for the rest. Because ours is about building this country. The main objective is to raise issues that are going to catch the eyes and attention of those in leadership. And I will continue also where I have my circles. I will continue saying things that needs to help them to do a good job so that it can improve the lives of our people. I'm really concerned about this country and I love this country and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I'm using this platform to be able to communicate and share my views and outlook on life so that it can help boost you and help those who are in charge to realize, this is how we need to get better as a country. I mean, look at how our sports and our athletes have made South Africa proud. It just shows you. And all those sports people, they work hard every single day. For an event that comes once every 4 years. For the Olympics. And look at the box. Look at how well. And congratulations to Team South Africa. The box have done exceptionally well. Look at how consistent they've been. Look at how they work out, they train, they work. Let us know we should do the same thing where we are placed. Where we are, we should work long hours. We must be like Chinese people. Those people work almost 18 hours a day. Rona, re chaisa ka 4, re chaisa ka 3, ka 6, o shebile di show, you're on social media for 6-7 hours, watching all types of things and watching TV at the same time and talking to your friends. Like, what the hell do you do for 7 hours, 8 hours? That time you are saying you are relaxing, you are wasting time. Do things, be productive, sell something, do something. Clean and the dustbin it's about, to clean and the charata it's about, to do something. Do something, bro. Do something. Wash tackies, do something. Don't just sit and drink alcohol and be on social media all the time and watch TV. You know every piano song, you know every actor on TV, all the shows on TV. You know all these people on television. You know every trending issue. You know every social media influencer. Like, it's absurd. It's crazy. South African young people, it's madness. It's crazy. You can't be doing such to yourselves. You are frying your brain, frying your mind with useless things that are not going to get you anywhere. So, with that said, my people, ke a le leboga. Once again, take care of yourselves. Modimo ko